We're going to go through where we need to mount the rifle, how you should hold the rifle, some different levering techniques, and a simple drill at the end so you can learn where that sweet spot is. One of the things, let's start with the mounting of the rifle. What you want to mount that rifle is off the shoulder, inside this shoulder socket. You don't want it out here. You don't want it out on your arm. What that does, if you get it out here in any of these places, as you're levering, you're going to get movement into the rifle. So what you want to do is get that rifle to the inside of that shoulder socket. What that does is allow you to lever the rifle and the butt to stay still. And what you want to do with your left hand, so you got the rifle mounted correctly, with your left hand, you don't want it up here. You want to get that left hand out as far as possible. The further you get that out, the stiller you can keep the nose of the rifle. And that's the whole point, is to try to get on that sight fast. So what you want to do is get that hand out here as far as you can. I personally come out with my finger and thumb is pointed, and I'm holding it like this, and that's just pointing down the barrel, same as with that pistol. It's helping me point toward the target, and I'm using this finger to apply pressure. So I can apply pressure and that gun will stay still. So I'm sitting here like this. Now I can lower that rifle and keep that nose still. Now there's a couple different ways of levering, 3 actually. One is with 3 fingers in, where you lever. One's 2 fingers in, and you lever. And the other that you see a lot is people leaving their thumb on the side. Now I can tell you from experience and from a lot of shooters I talk to that are very quick, leaving that thumb on the side is going to give you a speed limit. It's faster to either have your hands in and keep the thumb off the side. And another disadvantage of that thumb, if you get hung up a little bit, what you're going to do is cause side pressure, because you're pushing it against the side of your gun, so you can cause a little movement in the rifle as you're levering. It's better to keep that thumb down and straight as you're levering. 2 fingers is fine. You can do it with 2, or you can do it with 3. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I use 3. That's where I started. I might go to 2 if I was starting over, but I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, so I stay with 3. Now, one of the things as you're levering, you want to get that elbow down. If you've got that elbow up, what happens, as you're levering, you'll have a tendency to put side pressure on the gun again, and you'll get this sway motion. If you keep that elbow down, you're going to be able to lever right straight down the gun and keep that thing from swaying back and forth. If you're levering too hard against it and bringing it up, the gun's going to bounce up and down. So there again, you want to apply pressure, keep your elbow down, and then you're going to be able to just run the gun fast. Now, a simple drill for this that will really help you and will teach you where that sweet spot is simply dry fire the gun at a single spot on the wall in the house. Pick a light socket, pick anything. What you'll find, bring the gun out here, you'll see it moving. Bring your elbow up, you'll see it moving. The whole point of this drill is to try to keep the nose of the gun and that front sight as still as possible and on that spot you're trying to hit. And what you'll do, as you bring that gun up, you'll learn that sweet spot. If the gun is swaying back and forth, you're putting side pressure on the lever. If that sight's bouncing up and down, you're hitting it too hard. By sitting here at one spot and just working the gun like that, you'll learn where the sweet spot is, how much pressure you need to hold, and where that elbow needs to be to where you can keep the gun still. So that's the proper way to mount and use a rifle. Let's talk about transitioning with the rifle. This is off the table. We're going to do some off the ground and also port arms. Not only how to pick the gun up and get it into action, but also how to get it down and out of action, because it's going to be rare that you ever end with a rifle. Let's start with on the table. Depending on what you're going to do, but in most cases, and by SAS covenants, the rear of the trigger guard has to be on the table. So when I walk up and I'm going to put my gun down, and if we're moving from left to right, and I'm going to shoot my pistols over there, and I'm going to come over here and pick the rifle up, when I'm staging my rifle, I'll simply just put my fingers in the lever, lay the rifle down, and just when my finger hits the edge of the table, I can come up and I know the back of the trigger guard's on. But what that really does is it exposes that lever, so when I come in to pick that gun up, it's already exposed where I can bring the gun straight up into my shoulder. Another thing that you want to do is when you're picking these up, always remember to come in and bring it on the inside. Picking the gun up and getting it into action is a hard thing to do. If you just snatch the gun up, you'll get that bounce effect. A real good way to pick a gun up off a table as you're coming into it is you come in, you step, and you bring that gun, just pull it right up into your shoulder, and as you're coming up, lever and fire. One thing you don't ever want to do, because it's slower, you don't want to pick the gun up and lever it and do this. That's slower. You're picking the gun up, stopping the gun, then moving the gun again. So you want to keep it all in one motion where it's just up and in, up and in. It's just up and in. That's the quickest way to get the first shot off. One of the things that I see people doing a lot when they're putting the gun away, after you get done with that shot, I see a lot of people coming down and they're putting your hand in between the table and the gun. On any long gun, be it a shotgun or a rifle, hand is, you open, it's always on top, so you can release the gun and go. If you have your hand underneath, you can have a tendency to roll. You have to stay here and go this way. So what you want to do is after you fire that gun, just open, down, and go. Now if you're going to the right, you have to pass the gun off. And a lot of times when people go to the right, they shoot, they open, they set it down, and they go. To pick up a little time, what you do is you fire that gun, open, shift, already be going like this. It's much quicker, so it's just, and you're gone. You can just, that gun, this is where I use them as tools. If you're worried about scratching your gun, well, maybe you want to lay it down real easy. But in most cases, the people that are wanting to shoot quick, they just drop their gun and go. Let's talk about the stance a little bit. Anytime you're shooting, you really, a lot of people want to get like, they turn this angle here. What you want to do is stay squared up. That way, I'm in position to use my legs and go back and forth. Also, I'm in position either to go left or either to go right. If I'm standing like this and I'm shooting one thing, I'm into the shoulder socket where we don't want to be. We want to be on the inside. This is hard to do standing this way. When you get this way, it's easy to keep it in the socket. So, you fire the gun, I'm in position to go this way, I'm in position to go this way. So practice having a more squared up stance with the Cowboy guns, so you can keep it mounted correctly. Okay, let's talk about staging the gun off the ground. Some people, I've seen some information out there, they're telling them to stage your gun this way for a right-handed shooter or opposite for a left-handed shooter, and they're saying come in here and grab the gun low and come up and put your hand in the lever and then come up and fire it. I personally don't care for that because it's a further distance to reach. I like grabbing the gun up here, and distance is time. So time you reach down and come back this far, plus I'm having to bend, and some of us older folks don't bend as good as some of you younger folks. So what I like to do is stage that gun this direction. And what I can do with that is I come up and I grab the gun in here and actually just flip the gun up to me. I can come in here, I grab the gun right here like I would if I just had it up. I just flip the gun up and roll it right into my hand and I'm able to shoot. It's very quick that way. You can just come right into it and lever and shoot. So that's a quicker way to pick the rifle up. In a little bit of practice, you'll pick that up. Now let's talk about putting the gun away in the vertical. There again, you don't need to do it two-handed. Once you fire the gun, you can open it. You simply let it down, let the butt hit the ground, drag it in to the spot it needs to go, and take off. You don't need to sit here and open the gun, set it down two hands, and go. It's very quick just to go, drag it in, and be gone. Now, if I'm doing right hand, it's a shift again. If I'm having to move this direction, as I fire the rifle, I'll simply shift it to my right hand, down, do the same thing, and go. So shooting off the ground, it's just a routine. It's like I said, just practice it, and you'll get it pretty quick. Picking the rifle up this way is faster than having to reach it and bend and come up this way. Let's talk about Cowboy port arms a little bit. There's a misconception out there of what Cowboy port arms is, and so we'd like to get it explained to you right here what's legal and what's not legal. The rule is that the butt of the gun has to be at waist level, and the muzzle of the gun has to be at least shoulder level. And it doesn't say anything that it has to be against the belt. There's nothing about straight up and down. This is simple Cowboy port arms. It has to be at the height. I can have that gun out here if I want. I can do this. That's Cowboy port arms. What I like to do is take the gun, just like you're shooting it. Here I am, I'm ready to shoot. Now, what Cowboy port arms is the quickest way to get up there and do that is just simply drop the butt of the gun down to waist level, and I keep the line, the sight right here, I keep it on the target with my eye. I know the muzzle is at least shoulder height, but I'm staring at that front sight. So when I'm ready to go, it's simply up, lever, and fire. And my entire focus is on that front sight. So it's just a flip motion. You can just come up, flip it, and fire. So that's Cowboy port arms. Don't let them tell you that you got to touch anything. And I had one guy ask me one time, so what do you consider a waist? A waist is considered, that's where you bend. This is your waist, not where your gun belt is. It's where you bend. This is your waist. So that's Cowboy port arms. We're going to talk about one-shot reloads in a rifle. Now this is something you're going to run across quite a bit in a match, and it can make or break you. So we need to learn how to do a one-shot reload. There's 3 different ways on a 73 that I know of that I think is an effective way to reload 73. The one I just did over the top is probably it's the quickest way to reload, but it also has more hazards and you might mess it up. So let me go through the 3 different ways of reloading a 73. The first one I'm going to show you is coming over the top of the rifle and into the side gate. Now this is a pretty effective way to reload. What you do is you come in and you break the shot and you leave your hand in and you simply, what we call chicken wing it, bring your elbow up, and what that does is turn the port to where you can see it right here. You reach down with your left hand, grab around, go in, roll it back over, cock, and fire. Another way to do it, and that's real effective, you just got to roll your arm back down. Another way to do it is come in with your right hand into the gate. So it's the same thing, you fire the shot, then you roll it just so you can see the port. If you keep it up here, you're going to be stabbing for it because you can't see it. So simply roll it over, reach down, grab around, come up, load it in, hand back in the lever, and fire. Those are 2 effective ways to reload, and they're very safe ways to reload. They're not as fast as what over the top load is. If you need that extra 3/4 second or a second, over the top is the way to go. So the way I do it all the time. But to do it, what I'll do is I'll break the shot, then I come out, I'll open the lever, I come down with my right hand and grab the round. And it's important that you want your finger, if you grab that round, you have your finger flat on that round. It's got to come up and flat, push it down, and then I come back up underneath the lever. There's no need of going back in to the lever. I can just simply come up and grab it and fire. Then I can grip the lever and open it and out. The risk of loading over the top is if you don't get that bullet in flat. If you come in and you just fire the round, come down and reach, and you go up and you go to stab at it, that round can be stuck like that, or you can even get it turned up this way. So it's very important, if you're going to shoot this way, you got to bring that bullet in up and flat and push it in flat. That's the only way it'll work. It works very effectively if you'll go in flat. And it works well on a 357 if you're shooting 38s. At 45 Colt, or if I was shooting 357, it's a little harder because of the length of the round. I shoot 38s and it's a 357 gun, so the round sets back in here, so I have plenty of room to work it. In a 45, if you want to try to learn to shoot over the top, you may need to carry some 45 Schofields with you. It'll be easier to do. A 45 will take entirely too much of it. One of the things that you need to do that helps that load go smoothly is the corners on the inside of your carrier right here. They come to a sharp point on this side and this side. You can just take a small file and just round those points off. What that does is allow that round to go into the chamber. If you have those points, it'll have a tendency to kick it up and try to push it in this way. It's a little harder to feed. So just round these points on the carrier right here. And that's the 3 ways of loading a 73 with a one-shot. Marlin, very simple. It's the simplest gun to load. All you do is open, reach down, grab one, cock it just like you would if you're looking at a port, drop it in the side, come up underneath and fire. It's very effective. So that's the way you need to reload a rifle, and I've learned that because you're going to run into it at a match somewhere.